Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast called It Works on My Machine, which is brought to us by TimeCamp and hosted by me, Karolina. If it's your first time meeting with our show, here are a few things for you to know. So, for each episode, we invite CEO, founder, or other board member of a software development company. They're sharing their business experience, and that helps us to gather bigger picture or just a better understanding of the ways how the IT consulting industry is developing now. The guest for today's episode is Andrew, who is the co-founder and the CEO of a company called Ralabs. So let's jump into this conversation now and hear from himself how it works on the Ralabs machine. Hi, Andrew. Welcome to our podcast. How's it going?
Hi, Karolina. Thank you for having me. I'm all good. Yeah, it comes in a comparison, that's for sure. Here on the western part, it's better, but yeah, thank you for having me.
Now, before we dive into the story of Relapse, I would like to give you a moment to just tell us a few words about yourself.
Oh, great. Yeah, my background is mostly in software development, um, but most of my friends, most of the people that know me, that they know me as that guy who has too many hobbies. So it will take too much time to just describe what I'm doing in the free time.
One of your hobby is definitely connected somehow with entrepreneurship. How about just giving us a bit of background? What is Relapse about, and whose and what problems do you solve?
So at this point of time, or at this like stage of evolution, Relapse is a service business, but it started actually as a startup. So essentially, we still have this startup mindset because we tried to build something, we had clients and we had revenue, then we failed, and then we decided to convert this into a service business. Um, Most of our business is actually in healthcare. Maybe even this year, that most of the clients that we get and most of the clients that we like actually are in healthcare. And at the moment, um, we're trying to shift our focus towards the healthcare services, but that's a huge challenge because we need to build L&D uh, in the company for our employees, and we will have to change a lot of materials, and we'll have to target clients in a bit different way than we target at the moment. But yeah, essentially that's a service business. We provide software development services for our clients across the globe, except few countries.
Everyone is definitely aware of the names of these countries. You mentioned that you are focused mostly, or most of your clients are coming from the healthcare industry. Do you remember your first client?
Mhm.
Where did you find him, or how it looked like at the beginning? What was the first client from? Where?
I think for most of the entrepreneurs, it comes to being at the right time in the right setup, let's say. As our startup was coming to an end, and we tried to find some let's say projects or some work for our people, who then I think we had like four engineers at the moment, and we came across and it we came across the client named CR2 from Ireland, and I think we worked together for maybe 4 years, and it was a huge project because what they're doing, they are like software providers for banks. Like if, for example, if you would start a bank, you probably won't need to. You have actually two options. One option is to write your software, or you can buy the software or like rent the software from somebody else. And these companies here too, they do just that. They have mobile application, uh, POS systems, backends for banks, etc. The goal was to build a mobile application because the previous version of the mobile application was, I would say, it wasn't nice, and it was a bit slow, and they wanted a lot of integrations related to mobile banking, better uh, better information for the clients, um, access to data that wasn't available previously, and generally just a better UI. Before we started, we had good expertise in hybrid technology, React Native. It was back then, and we had also some knowledge of Ionic and Angular. Um, and we decided to build that project in Ionic, which is like Angular. I'm not sure if I'm not like going too deep into the technology.
You sharing it with us is, I think, is valuable for anyone interested in the industry of
Yeah.
software development in general.
The funny story was that one of the requirements from the client was that the team has to go to to Dublin for maybe a month and work from there. And they thought that it was a requirement, but for us it was like an adventure. So the whole team was able to go to Dublin for free because it was covered by the client, and work from there for a month. I remember that there are two founders. I have to mention there are two founders of the company, myself and Roman. And back then, when we started the company, I was working as a developer in a software development company still, and he was working in the software development company. And he decided to take a vacation um, to go with the team to Dublin because I wasn't able to go back then. And he was afraid that he will take a vacation for a month and will have some problems in I'm saying that, and I understand that it's completely like not that important and it's not that serious, but then it seems like it might create huge problems.
Andrew, how did you find that company that at the end of the day just sent you an invitation to their country to help them with the software?
I think it was through LinkedIn. We found a person who has an internal network in Ireland. He has an internal network of contacts, and he basically is like I would say he is like a sale or consultant who helps other businesses find teams. We got the introduction. We had few conversations. Then he made the introduction to that company CR2, and the whole thing started.
When you are trying to generate some new leads, do you still come back to the idea of just asking for some external help, like from some sales consulting?
So we still work.
Yeah.
We still work with the same consultancy, and we are running
Mhm.
two projects together, which at the same time it's also a little bit interesting story because we started to work on both projects as the COVID pandemic started, and both projects are related to aviation. They one is related to aviation finance for the pilots to be able to know what's your salary because it isn't easy. Like if you are working over like the money that you get from flying from one city to another city will depend on whether you will cross like continents, countries, and what's the time zone and at what time you like left and arrived. So there's a lot of mathematics. So that's one project. Another project is related to TV sets that you see in front of you when you're flying from somewhere to somewhere.
Interesting. And how did it go?
It's still ongoing projects. Both are going very well. Um, the clients are happy, and I guess it will continue for a long time.
Andrew, have you ever considered a solar entrepreneurship journey before you took this challenge, accepted this challenge with your co-founder Roman, by starting Ralabs?
I think as almost any other software engineer, I have a graveyard of unfinished cool ideas. So I considered that many times. Um, yeah, the short answer is yes. And actually, the uh, Relapse it started from me considering an like being an entrepreneur, creating something new like a startup. At this particular moment in time, our company is evolving, changing, and a lot of very interesting things are happening and will happen in the future. We have big goals for the next 10 years.
What do you think makes your company different from the other IT outsourcing companies out there?
When we started our company, back then we were both engineers was Roman, and I'm still I still program every day. So if you'll try to search for my GitHub, you will see a lot of green cubes there, which mean that I'm programming uh, almost every day. Um, but when we So in the journey of building the company, most of our decisions were made from the point of view of whether I would like this decision to be made in the company if, for example, I would be like an engineer there. So I think that it's the main difference between, again, I only worked in two IT companies, which, and one of which is more of a product company before I started this company. So everything that I say, it's a comparison of what I know about our company and what I hear from my friends or what I see from marketing materials of other companies. Um, so a lot of things that I would say maybe are the same in other companies. So maybe they are not unique, but one of the things is people-oriented approach. Basically, in almost everything, we have a lot of processes in place to keep in touch with the with our team. We have a weekly Q&A session with the whole company. We have a monthly digest, and monthly digest is basically the information about what happened in the company during this period of time, what we are planning to do, what are the numbers from which department. So every engineer, QA, or like a finance person knows a lot of things about the whole company, like sales pipeline, for example. It might seem like it's a bit of all information, but we consider this to be valuable for the company in general. And yeah, so I think that that's the base, the main difference from other companies, that we are people oriented in most of the processes that we are building. Um, Other things are more or less the same as in other companies. Like we went fully remote as the pandemic started. So the place that I'm sitting, we have a very small office for maybe 4 tables, and all the other people are working from home or from co-working spaces. Um, we started having a lot of people working from other countries. Um, as the COVID started, I think we started to hiring people from other countries as well.
What is your main focus today?
So we are looking to grow. That's the one of the main goals that we see for us, and there it's not a popular goal to have because I had a conversation with a few of our colleagues, and all all of them said that our company has um, uh, it gives you like close relations to other people, and it's good that it's small and everything is like it's almost like a family. And some of the people don't really like the idea of working in a large company like 400 people and more. um, I personally see the value of that, and our core team which I will explain in few seconds what's the core team is. So we see the value in growing for several reasons, and one is to be able to onboard more complex and bigger projects. Because we are small, some of the projects or some of the RFPs that we are getting, we are just losing because we are small, and the clients don't believe that we can, like for example, add like 20 people in 2 months for that particular task. Um, and the size also gives you the opportunity to have a bigger R&D, um, which gives you uh, many opportunities. Like for example, we have an internal product for virtual conferences. Um, I would like to start another one, but we don't have enough people to start another internal project. So the size gives you that opportunity. And finally, the bigger you are, the more interesting you are to the investors. And investments allow you to, again, onboard more people, get bigger projects, and bigger clients.
With the bigger amount of with the bigger teams and with bigger projects that you are looking for to get, what threats do you see for your culture that you have now? Because you said that right now your company is very like family type. Everyone has a really close relationship with this with each other. What threats for this culture do you see coming with the bigger numbers?
We are trying to keep the same culture, and we are putting in place as much um, communication points, touch points with the team as possible. Um, so, for example, we multiplied the amount of people by two in the recent 2 years, and nothing changed. So, we believe that with a careful approach, um, we might be able to keep the same culture, um, and we would love to keep the same culture, being a bigger company.
Beautifully said. Think about some downs that made your business change its trajectory totally. Were there any moments that made you, let's say, lose a little bit of, I don't know, hope?
There were a few. Um, so one was, I think the first one was that as we started our business, there were few more people helping us. So we had one person helping us with delivery, and we had another person helping us with sales. And the person who was helping us with delivery, he decided to leave us, and it was the first like thing that hit me. I just understood that some of the things that you believe in for the other people, that they don't seem as valuable or as prominent, let's say. um, then I remember that one time when so we finished the project for 80%. uh, Actually it was done. It was done fully. Then we had a debt with that client. And client got back to us with the list of some defects and additional features 6 months past the time we finished the project. So at the moment we didn't have any available resources, and because we had debt, didn't have any, like we didn't want to to help the client or to continue the working, because we wanted to get our money back first. And what client decided to do? Client decided to leave us a 1-star review on Clutch system, and they decided to sue us. So uh, the client's attorney contacted me, and we had a small fight there. Um, Eventually, what we decided to do, we eventually um, shook hands, and everything was fine to an extent. The review was changed to another review, and it didn't make me want to quit. It actually made me want to do more. So I remember that that night, it was about 11 p.m. Uh, I saw that email and I saw that review, and I immediately started working. And I think I worked until 5 a.m. That night. Um, and it changed the business in a way that we decided to be very careful with who we are working with, what kind of projects we are taking, and what kind of agreements with the clients we have. So uh, yeah, starting from there, we I think onboarded only uh, one not so um, one project that we have small problems with, but all the other projects we put in place some instruments as for example, we do an discovery phase with all of the clients, and before we start working with the client, we try to bring value to the client in terms of what kind of so for example, we do code review, we do architectural review, we do scalability review, we do security review, we do design review, and then we just basically put this in front of the client and say, this is what you have at the moment. We think that it will take this amount of time to bring up to the level that you can extend the system with something else, with new features. And actually, most of our new projects are just starting as discovery and then leading to the full development. So it plays off for both parts. There is another one actually that the project I had to involve myself as an engineer on that project during the last 2 months because it was another influence to the project discovery service. There was there were a lot of problems with the quality of one particular subsystem, which we didn't knew nothing about, but it was essential for the client and had to be done. uh, we just didn't have enough people to do it. The performance was so slow due to the problems on the project that I just had to involve myself. And for 2 months, I was coding almost full time on that project.
Was it at the beginning of your journey, at the beginning when you were founded Ralabs, or
It
somewhere?
was 2 years ago, September 2020.
You remember the
Yeah,
date?
I will remember this project for the whole of my life. The project, its name, the awful code there.
Didn't you lose your passion towards software engineering after you finished that project, helping with that project?
No, no. It wasn't a problem of software engineering. It was a problem of that particular system, which was fully coded in production. Like if you want to add features, you go to the production server, you open some command line code editor, and then you program. And unfortunately, because it was in a particular industry which doesn't allow you to move the coding process outside of that environment, it was the only way. And you can imagine there was like no tests, everything was duplicated. Yeah, the code was just awful. But we did it, we finished everything.
Okay. Another topic I wanted to touch with you here is actually about the personal branding and some things, some tactics that I noticed you are you're actively using basically. Right now, I'm talking about the newsletter that you started,
Hmm.
not boring newsletter, started by you. And it's basically like an email marketing approach towards the personal branding. What was your potential idea and purpose for that newsletter? And why email marketing when it comes to personal branding?
Initial idea was to have like commitment towards the goals that we have. So initial idea was to, like, let's say, watch us grow to 1,000 people. I don't think the subscription email is that way at the moment. I think it's more about what happened at the company, what are the news in the company, what are we doing, and what are the achievements for, like, let's say, the last months. Um, and I think it evolved in that way. Uh, I would like to return back to idea to just having a commitment, like a public commitment towards the goal of our company. So I'll probably put the numbers back there, but uh, it was quite easy to have this subscription email because, as I said, we have this monthly digest with our colleagues every month, and all the information that I'm putting in the subscription email is the information that I just have from that meeting. So it's like a text format of the monthly digest, and we have an idea to make our monthly digest public, like allow people from outside to join us. And we have a crazy idea one time to have the monthly digest offline in some like theater or something. And uh, but for that you have to be interesting and you have to be a little bit bigger. um, but yeah, maybe in few years from now we'll make an offline version of that. We'll see.
What is the size of your community, let's say, based on the newsletter that you created?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no
I
idea. I'm just working on on what's on the contents, and um, our marketeer is helping me a lot with that. Uh, and all of the information about the size is somewhere like in the matrix of the marketing department.
What about your LinkedIn page, LinkedIn profile, where you often post something about newsletter and any other
Mhm.
news from your company? Do you have pretty much the same approach towards that as to the newsletter that marketing is helping you?
For certainly, we have goals for the subscription, and actually also started building the Twitter community just recently. But as we started, it was everything fine. Then the war happened, and then my attention just shifted. After each subscription, we have numbers of how many like people opened the email, how many people read the email, not read, but how many people bounced from that email, like open and immediately closed. I think that's, and also we have a metric how the subscription base is growing, or is it growing. As for the LinkedIn, it's a little bit if like for the software company, it's a little bit complicated because the the network isn't only growing using a content. I think it's more growing using proactive outreach than using content, because we still do some kind of lead gen, and we did lead gen for a long time that we decided to stop, and now we decided to start lead gen again because we are trying to validate the idea of healthcare focus, and for that the best way is to try to outreach the try the outreach campaign for the healthcare industry. And I see the huge increase of the connections started from the time that we started to execute that campaign. But the Twitter is a different thing. I see that my following is growing and the amount of likes is growing, and we're trying to post there as much of information as possible. And what I like about Twitter is that it's a combination of personal information and some information about the business. So it's not business only like LinkedIn is.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's pretty much the idea of Twitter. Okay, Andrew, and to finish this episode, I would like to ask you about some, I don't know, is it a personal question or not? You decide. But what are your time management tips in terms of business, in terms of your life?
Never skip your morning routine.
Do you want to share with us what is your morning routine?
Yes, usually I get up at 5:50. Then I make my actually my morning routine starts from the evening routine, and the evening routine is to prepare everything that I will have that I will need for the morning routine. It usually is putting my sports bag in a particular place so that when I make coffee, I see my sports bag. Then putting the chair that I'm using for the rehearsals in a particular place so that when I wake up, I see the chair. And the morning routine is very simple. I start at 5:50. I have 10 minutes to make my coffee. Then I change clothes to the sports clothes. Then I go and play on the guitar. I usually have 1 hour of rehearsal every morning. Then I am preparing for the day. So I'm going through all of my emails. I'm going through all of my meetings for the day, and I'm making notes like what basically for I'm prepared from the morning for all of the meetings that I will have during the day. Then I'm going into my I'm using Todoist for asset to do app. So I'm going there and I'm changing the dates for the yesterday's uh, deadline tasks to today. Deadline tasks. Yeah, adding some new tasks there, and then I'm going to the workout, which is a BJJ session, and that's it. That's it for the morning routine. If I skip the morning routine, then the whole day is very different. Like for example, if I don't have my tasks in place, if I don't have my meetings prepared in place, if I have a lot of unread messages, and if I didn't have my hour meditation with a guitar, because I consider this to be a meditation, then the whole day is like, yeah, it's very different. I'm tired. I'm all over the place.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing all the tips regarding your routine, morning routine, regarding your approach to time management, and regarding the company that you built once with your co-founder, Raman. Thank you also for your time. And
Thank you for
yeah,
having me.
if you enjoyed listening to this conversation, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. As easy as that. I highly recommend you to check on the previous talks as well. And just a quick reminder, all the episodes are available on YouTube as well as on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and some others. See you in the next one.